Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarva Karyeshu Sarvada. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaste, friends. A hearty welcome to one and all for today's first session of our new series, Important Gita Verses. These verses are shortlisted by Puja Swami Dayananda Saraswati. Today, we shall be covering verses 2.11, 14, and 20 of the first chapter and verse 66 of the 18th chapter. These four verses are deeply connected and they beautifully summarize the entire Bhagavad Gita's spiritual message. In the second chapter of the Gita, Lord begins his teaching with verse 2.11, reminding Arjuna that sorrow arises only from ignorance of our true self. The wise never grieve, for they see changeless spirit or Atman behind all forms. Proceeding to verse 2.14, he teaches us to endure life's dualities, pleasure and pain, gain and loss, with calm acceptance, knowing they are fleeting. In verse 2.2, he reveals the truth: the self is unborn, eternal, untouched by death. Having guided Arjuna from confusion to clarity, the Lord concludes in 18.66th verse of the 18th chapter, saying, "Surrender to me alone. I shall free you from all bondage." Thus, the Gita begins with the knowledge, matures through discipline, and culminates into surrender. From ignorance to endurance, from realization to surrender. This is the complete journey to permanent peace, security, and happiness. These profound verses shall be explained by Dr. Ashwini, Srimati Aruna, Srimati Mamata Shankar, and Srimati Rama Gopal Krishna. After each presentation, the speaker will test our understanding with a few quiz questions. Be alert, understand, and be enlightened with this divine knowledge. Dr. Timmappa Hegde sir shall be moderating the session with key inputs of these verses. Over to Dr. Timmappa Hegde sir.
Thank you, Shiv. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Pariyantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. We have titled our new series on the Bhagavad Gita as Selected Verses for Daily Living. Initially, we had taken it as important Bhagavad Gita verses. Whenever you say there are important verses, it also means there are unimportant verses. In all scriptural texts, whenever any teacher teaches scriptural text, the bottom line or tatparyam is the Mahavakya. So in all scriptural texts, the most important verses are the Mahavakya. But what about all the other verses? All the other verses are called Avantara Vakya. Now, are they less important? Not at all. They are also important because they lead us to the Mahavakya. So therefore, let us not classify them as important or not so important verses, but let us take these verses as Bhagavad Gita selected verses for daily living. Let us see what we have selected today. We have relied on Swami Dayananda Saraswati for the initial few classes, and thereafter one of us will select. When you want to select verses, you will find it is extremely difficult because each verse is saying, I'm important, I'm important. So it is difficult to see which verses to be able to select, and so there will also be a certain personal bias. Now, if you look at the verses selected here, verse 2.11 is the first teaching verse of the Gita, and verse 18.66 is also called the Charama Shloka. It is the last teaching verse. So you have two great verses, one in the beginning, one at the end. In between that verse, Matra Sparsha Sukhaunteya, talk of mental toughness. The entire Bhagavad Gita can be seen by different people in different ways. But one message for us is the Bhagavad Gita talks about being mentally very strong, because life is difficult. Whoever you are at any stage of your life, if you look at your life, all of us are battling important things in our life. And therefore, mental toughness is very important. Verse Na Jayate Mriyate Va, an important message from the Kathopanishad, which Sri Krishna has borrowed, is telling us our real nature, that the real self is never born. So there is no question of death. I have been there from the very beginning. Let us see how our speakers will present these verses in the available time. My recommendation for all the speakers, for not only for this class, is to our source book should be common. It should be from the Moolam of Swami Paramarthananda, because let us have a certain uniformity. And once you have that uniformity, all our presentations will be based on the Moolam classes of Swami Paramarthanandaji. But as these verses will be given to you well in advance, it is an opportunity to look at what the Swami Paramarthananda has spoken from the Bhagavad Gita Adi Shankara Bhashyam. So you will have a complete perspective. Don't try to bring a mixture of both in your presentation. For your understanding, let it be from both. But when you present, let it be from specifically from the Moolam, because in that way the message is going to be more crisp and to the point. Now, what about those who have not been allotted the verse? So let us use these verses for the entire week. Now, I know what are the next 4 verses for the next week. Let us start our preparation right now, because at the end of each verse, after having learned those verses, you will have a teaching quiz by the speaker and whoever is moderating. Today, I'm moderating the session, so I will answer the question, and it will be in a way to help us to see what are the take-home messages of that particular verse. The opening verse will be explained by Dr. Ashwini. Dr. Ashwini, please.
Thank you, sir. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I will start conceptualizing the verse 2.11 before elaborating on it. Now, verse 2.11, 11th verse, represents Krishna's fundamental challenge to Arjuna's entire worldview. It's the moment where Krishna begins dismantling Arjuna's mistaken identity and introducing the vision of reality as seen by the wise. So I've just tried to put in these 5 steps. So what first Krishna does is he establishes that the wise do not grieve for what appears to be living or dead, because they understand reality differently. While lot of Arjunas see only the superficial level of existence, what is that? Bodies being born and die. So the wise perceive the eternal unchanging consciousness that underlies all apparent changes. And the second point I have put here is the teaching, especially the teaching from this verse. It reveals the crucial distinction between the Swarupa Lakshana and the Tatastha Lakshana. What is Swarupa Lakshana? It is the intrinsic nature. Atma. Atma is our essential being. It is the constant presence because of which all changes are known to us. Incidental nature, that is the Tatastha Lakshana, the body mind, which is temporary and changing, and not essential because your presence remains throughout all body-mind changes. And then, how do we explain this? Think of this relationship like a space confined within a cup. Now, first, what will we identify? We identify with the limited space within our particular cup. So that is one individual body mind, Ashwini as an individual body mind. The second level here is the wise understand that the same consciousness within you is also present in all beings. And the higher level is ultimate vision, recognizing that all bodies exist within you. The all-pervading consciousness, just as all cups exist within one all-pervading space. Now, will the grief be misplaced? When one understands that Atma is our intrinsic nature, that is, which is unborn, eternal, indestructible, while the body is merely an instrument that comes and goes, you realize that grieving for the living or dead, there are only two categories, living or dead, reflects ignorance of what's truly real. Now, how do we practically approach this? The practical implication starts by the introduction of Satya Mithya analysis that Bhagavan will elaborate throughout the Gita. Satyam is the absolute reality or the awareness that never changes. Mithya is the dependent existence, the changing body, mind and world that depend on the awareness for their existence. So the transformation begins for all of us, all Arjunas, when Lord Krishna asks Arjuna to shift from seeing himself as a temporary body, facing other temporary bodies, to recognizing himself as the eternal consciousness in which all appearances come and go. So now this verse is the foundation upon which all subsequent teachings about whether it's duty, the action and the liberation are all built. In the next slide, we will see the verse 2.11. So the verse goes like this. Ashocyanan ashocastvam pragnavadanshcha bhashase gatasun agatasunshcha nanushocanti panditaha. As Sir mentioned, Shankaracharya begins his commentary on the Gita with this verse because Bhagavan introduces the subject matter of the Gita. Now, what I have mentioned in this slide is the Anubandha Chatushtayam. Anubandha Chatushtayam includes the Vishaya, Prayojana, Adhikari and the Sambandha. What is the Vishaya of this particular verse? The fundamental ignorance. The fundamental ignorance is what? Ajnanam regarding the nature of Atma. That is the self. So that is the Vishaya or the subject of matter. What is the prayojanam, as in what is the purpose or goal? So immediately who has got this, the ignorance here, and especially in this shloka, it's Arjuna. So the immediate purpose will have to be arresting the Arjuna's sorrow and the delusion by pointing out what is the error. So whether he is a qualified student, whether he is an adhikari. So Arjuna, yes, of course, he has the problem of shoka and moha, but then he also has the shraddha. So that makes him an adhikari, that makes him a qualified student. And what is the sambandha? What is the connection here? The connection is the teaching of the Brahma Vidya, the science of the absolute, is the only sole solution for the samsara or the sadhana to overcome the samsara. So this apparently, this Anubandha Chatushtayam that we see verse equivalent to Athato Brahma Jignasa of the Brahma Sutra. Though Arjuna did not explicitly ask for Brahma Vidya or Atma Vidya, Krishna deliberately chooses to, because he knows Arjuna's problem is not dharma agnanam, but is the attachment which is born out of atma agnanam. Arjuna had asked, what had he asked? Yat shreya syat nishchitam. The word shreya means whatever is good. But in philosophical parlance, shreya also means jnanam and moksha too. So, Ashochan Anvashochaya refers to the Shoka problem. Pragna Vadanshcha Bhashase refers to the Moha problem. Joined is the Samsara. Arjuna, like all of us, is a Samsari who has surrendered to the Guru. It's like this, Swamiji says, if we have to take medicine, we need to be sick. So if we are a qualified Samsari, we have surrendered to a Guru, we are qualified to be students. In the next slide, so with the little background that we have taken, now we will take few key points from Swamiji's Shankara Bhashyam. So there are couple keywords. The one keyword I want to... Ashochan. So the first keyword is here is Ashochan. Now what is Shochaha? Shochaha means those people who deserve sympathy or compassion or grief. Shokya yogyaha shochyaha. Ashochyaha means those people who do not deserve grief. Naturally, who is he grieving for here? Bhishma and Drona. So now Shankaracharya divides them under 3 levels. He asks, if you are worrying over Bhishma, which Bhishma are you worried about? First, he gives the Laukika Drishtya. From Laukika Drishtya, it is Shariram Bhishma. Then second Bhishma is Ahankara Bhishma. Ahankara Bhishma, the Chidabhasa, the Karta, Bhokta. Apparently it is told that it is going to travel after death. So that is the second Bhishma. And the third Bhishma is the Atma Bhishma. Now the question asked by Bhagavan is, which are we worrying about? Which Bhishma are we worrying about? Is it Shariram, Chidabhasam or Chit? Now the answer is all 3 levels do not deserve any grief. The first explanation that he gives is Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha. It is the 27th verse of the 2nd chapter. Body is subject to birth and death. It is a fact. It is a fact. It's not an opinion, it's a fact. So you don't have to worry. And the second, from the Karma Khanda angle, the second one is what? Ahankara Bhishma. Now, if you are in Sadvrittavat, what is Sadvrittavat? Dharmic conduct, the lifestyle or the behavior or the action which is all towards dharma, dharmic. He is going to be a noble dharmic soul. One need not worry, as you are guaranteed that you are traveling to higher lokas. So you need not worry. And the third Bhishma is the Chit or Atma. Now Atma, what are the properties of Atma? We have read, Atma will not die. Atma is not going to travel. It is Nityaha Sarvagataha Sthanuhu. So the Atma is everywhere and eternal. So whether it is Sharira Drishtya, Chidabhasa Drishtya or Chid Drishtya, Cha Ashocyaha. The grief is unwarranted and meaningless. And then in this 4th slide, the other key word is Anvashochayaha. Anvashochayaha, we have grieved over these people who do not deserve the grief. And then the second thing he says is, Tvam Pragnavadan. Tvam Pragnavadan, you, Krishna is saying, according to Vedanta, wise people will not grieve and you are grieving. Therefore, by Arthapatti Pramana, you don't seem to be wise. But I am confused. Though you are not wise because of grieving, all the words you say are great words of Shastra. He has tears in the eyes, which reveals foolishness, but the words reveal wisdom. So it's a contradictory attributes of grief and wisdom. And that cannot lie in one locus. Hence, Bhagavan says, Arjuna is confused because of his maudhyam. Mudhasya bhavaha maudhyam. The foolishness or ignorance is because of the grief, and Arjuna is revealing that mudhatvam. So, here Shankaracharya gives the implied meaning of the first line of the 11th verse. Now the second line is more simpler. Gata soon. Gata soon is Gataha Pranan who are Mritan. Pranas have left from those individuals. Agata soon, Agataha Pranan who are Jivitaha, the living people. Panditaha na anushochanti. Wise people do not grieve over dead or living ones. So actually the truth according to Swamiji is people fall under only two categories, either alive or dead. But on a lighter note, we cannot discuss this at home. So Satyam Vada, we always keep saying Satyam Vada. What is Satyam Vada? It not only means don't tell untruth, but need not tell all truths too. So that should be understood. So and second thing is Panditaha. Panditaha here is Atmagnyaha. It is derived from the word Panda. Panda is the one who know Atma Vishayaha. Atma Vishayasya Buddhihi. So Buddhihi is the knowledge or Jnanam here about Atma, that is self. So what is the procedure for that? We've always been doing Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasanam. One becomes Jnani and that alone is the real. So Shruti Pramanam is also been discussed about this in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. So therefore, Pandita here is Jnani. Now, Krishna can continue teaching from any of the three standpoints and also establish why we should not worry. We've already seen he could have actually started the Gita and then ended it also. Like from the first standpoint, if you take from the body standpoint, he would have established body will be perishable, therefore don't grieve, it is over. Second, Chidabhasa standpoint, more of Dharma Shastra, indicating that you do more good deeds. Ahankara attains higher lokas. Teach Karma Khanda and conclude not to grieve, it is over. But then Krishna chooses to take Atma standpoint, establish both Shariram and Chidabhasa or Mithya and teach Atma angle. Now Bhagavan has laid a foundation for all of us who are confused just like Arjuna and who has made self-assessment. If we remember the shloka, Karpanya dosha upahat svabhavaha. But having dharma or the adharma confusion is not what he has analyzed. Bhagavan has analyzed and made a diagnosis of Atma or Anatma Viveka problem. Hence, he chooses to teach Brahma Vidya for the benefit of several Arjunas, and this knowledge is the foundation for freeing ourselves from sorrow and living with steadiness and clarity. Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. With this, I complete the verse. I have few questions to ask as a teaching part. So the first question here is, in verse 2.11, that is what we have studied now. So Bhagavan begins his primary teaching by addressing the root of Arjuna's grief. According to Advaita Vedanta perspective, what is the fundamental error in Arjuna's thinking that Krishna points out? My options are, first one, Arjuna is neglecting his duty as a Kshatriya. Arjuna is attached to the fruits of his actions. Arjuna is mourning for those who are not truly subject to birth and death. Arjuna is ignorant of the eternal nature of the Atma, the true self.
I would choose the fourth one. Arjuna is ignorant of the eternal nature of Atma, the true self.
Yes, sir. So the fundamental error Krishna is addressing here is of the Arjuna's ignorance, that is the Ajnana of the true nature of the self. Then the next question is, the statement, the wise do not grieve for the dead or the living, is founded on the specific discriminative knowledge. What is the primary discrimination or the viveka that a wise person has mastered? Is it discrimination between dharma and adharma, or the eternal self Atma and the temporary body Sharira, or pleasant? Is it the discrimination between pleasant and painful experiences, or is it between the individual soul and the Supreme Lord?
Discrimination between the eternal self and the temporary body, Atma and Atma Viveka.
Yes, absolutely right. So the core wisdom Bhagavan introducing us is the Tattva Viveka, the ability to discriminate between the real and the unreal. Next question is, so what do you understand by the Satya Mithya analysis? Satyam Atma, Mithyam Maya, Satyam the absolute reality, Mithyam the dependent existence, Satyam Paramatma, Mithyam Jivatma, Satyam Purusha, Mithyam Prakriti, or is it all of the above?
All of them. What do you understand by Satya Mithya analysis? Atma Satya, that looks right. Absolute reality or dependent existence, Paramatma Mithya, Jivatma, Purusha Mithya. I think all of the above.
Yes, sir. It is all of the above. It is all, Satyam is the analysis of the eternal consciousness and Mithyam is the dependent existence. I just, mentioned all the names for the above. And the last question, in philosophical parlance, what does Shreyaha means? Is it auspiciousness, one who always follows dharmic lifestyle, jnanam and moksha, prosperity and well-being, or is it all of the above?
What does Shreya mean? Shreya is a Kathopanishad verse.
Yes, sir.
So it should mean jnanam and moksha.
Absolutely, sir. So it is Adhyaya 1, Valli 2 and the second mantra, where Shreyas and Preyas. Shreyas is good, Preyas is pleasant. So both approach the human beings, having very clearly considering them. So this, with the discriminative knowledge, he distinguishes them. So the whoever has that power of discrimination chooses Shreyas over Preyas. So yeah, with this we conclude the verse 11, sir. Thank you. Guru Bhyo Namah.
Thank you, Dr. Ashwini. So you will see how the Bhagavad Gita teaching verse, second chapter, verse 11, begins with a bang. And so this is the first moment that Sri Krishna gets an opportunity to really teach. And he begins, this is of course from the Bhashya. And whenever any scriptural text is given, you will have to answer 4 topics. What is the real topic of the Bhagavad Gita? And Adi Shankara is very clear. It is Atma Jnana. Although the Bhagavad Gita gives so many topics, one of the things you need to pick up is what is my true nature? What is the benefit? The highest Purushartha, that is Moksha Purushartha. Adhikari, you will see Arjuna surrenders once you have a sadhana Chatustaya Sampanna. Now, what is the bottom line that Sri Krishna is trying to say? That if you do not know your true nature, self-ignorance is the cause of all problems. So what is the solution? Self-knowledge. That is why Bhagavad Gita offers self-knowledge as a solution to all problems. In Sanskrit, it would mean Atma Ajnanam Samsara Karanam. Atma Jnanam is Moksha Karanam. So moksha gives freedom from samsara. Now, final bottom line, ask yourself who are all listening, am I grieving or am I sorry for any reason? If I'm sorry for any reason, I have taken the problems of my life too seriously. I have taken my role too seriously. I have identified myself as the body and everybody else around me as the body. But what is our real message? I am not the body. I am the Atma playing a limited role of this body. And once you see from that perspective, that is what Bhagavan is trying to say. Our next verse is also a very important verse. Aruna ji, please.
Hari Om, Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. This is a very Vedantic verse, that is 2:14. In this, I will explain a little bit about the verse before I actually recite it. In this rather Vedantic verse, Bhagwan Krishna has started the task of trying to change the orientation of Arjuna's mind. He is trying to present a new perspective to Arjuna, incorporating the wisdom that the physical body, the Sthula Shariram, is subject to change. The Sukshma Sharira, or the subtle body, is also subject to change. The only unchanging is the Chit or Chaitanya, which never changes. In fact, this unchanging substratum Chaitanya is the one that allows us to understand the changes as they occur. This verse is meant for all the sadhaks to remain undisturbed in any situation. In fact, as Dr. Ashwini said, Arjuna is in all of us. We all are Arjuna. Because Arjuna is in the midst of a terrible situation, probably much worse than many of us would have been. Remember that this is the first day of the battle, and he cannot fathom what will be the fate or the outcome of this battle. What is the plight of his relatives whom he cares so much about? Because, he is in a very serious moral dilemma where perhaps he has to kill his near and dear. Next slide, please. So in this verse, there are two important concepts to be elaborated, which Bhagavan Krishna has done that for us, elaborated, and we have to understand that. One is the concept of anatma, and the other is the concept of titiksha. Titiksha is very important. Bhagavan says that just as you have accepted the concept of atma, which Dr. Ashwini has elaborated a little in the last verse, so should one accept the concept of anatma. That is, the world as we see it is illusory, and all our relations and our experiences are unreal. In fact, wisdom consists of accepting the illusory nature of anatma. That is very important, step number one. Swami Paramarthananda says that until we change our orientation to accept the nature of anatma, we will always be having the problem of sorrow. Swamiji says that resistance to facts and not accepting the nature of things of anatma is the definition of sorrow. Therefore, a sadhak doesn't struggle to change the world, but learns to change his or her attitude to it. Next slide, please. With that, let us look at this verse. Matra sparshastu kaunteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agamapayano nityastam titikshasva bharata. Matra sparshastu. Matra meaning the sense organs. In fact, ma means to know or experience. Tra refers to the instrument. Therefore, matra refers to the sense organs. Then, sparshaha, which means touch or contact. There is an interaction between the sense organs and the objects of contact, and in this manner, an experience is created. This experience, Bhagavan says, results in shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha. The experience is that of shitaha, cold, or ushna, of heat, and of sukha, of pleasure, and dukha, of sorrow. The external objects first produce subjective changes, as in cold and heat, and the feelings create feelings of discord and harmony, which thus result in pleasure and feelings of pleasure and pain. O Kaunteya, that is son of Kunti, he addresses him as O Kaunteya. Now, these are opposite types of experiences. Cold is different and heat is different. They are mutually opposite, as are pleasure and pain. These opposing experiences are of anatma, unreal. And which means that life is like a series of opposing experiences. The separate mention of cold and heat should be included in general in the category of all objects of Vishaya. So we stretch this to mean everything, not just cold and heat per se. Next slide, please. But Bhagavan says, these experiences of anatma are agamapayino nityam, means that they are agamapai. These sensations are temporary. They have a beginning and then they have an end. They come and go. Bhagavan has spoken a bit about nitya atma in the previous verse. Here he's talking about anitya anatma, which is temporary, which comes and goes. So Bhagavan then says, tam titikshasva, which means a calm endurance of both pleasure and pain. He tells Arjuna, actually, may you develop inner strength, both physical and mental, to be able to stand both pleasure and pain without succumbing to either one of them. This is a prerequisite, Swamiji says, for the right knowledge, because this endurance is totally necessary for a sadhaka, because without it, moksha or ultimate deliverance from the anatma is not possible. Next slide, please. Regarding titiksha, there is a wonderful verse in the Vivekachudamani, verse number 24. Sahanam sarva dukkhanam apratikara chinta vilaparahitam sa titiksha nigadyate. Titiksha is not just endurance, it has a very deep mental meaning which we have to really incorporate. Titiksha is the capacity to endure all sorrows and sufferings without struggling, no revenge, without struggling for revenge, wanting to get back at someone or something, enduring without breaking down, without depression and all that, without developing hatred, without self-pity, without complaining. This is a very, very strong mental, internal way of being. So this is the crux of deliverance of moksha. Such a person alone who has titiksha is eligible for moksha. So Bhagavan then tells Arjuna, cultivating equanimity is the first step to be achieved. Understanding the difference between Atma and Anatma. Therefore, equanimity is very, very important. O Bharata, he calls Arjuna, referring to Arjuna's ancestry as a descendant of Bharata. Now, we have a short quiz also of 4 questions. So if we can look at that. So what are the key concepts of this verse? I mean, there are lots of key concepts in this thing, but what are the concepts to be emphasized in this verse?
One concept, because it ends in titiksha. Titiksha means mentally tough. Oh, Arjuna, through Arjuna, all of us, you have to be mentally tough. Then there's another concept about anatma. Anything in the world comes and goes, comes and goes. They are not permanent. So when something whenever you interact in the world, you come across situations which are pleasant, unpleasant, and therefore, because they come and go and they're not permanent, Krishna is trying to tell you, don't be too upset about them. That is what I would say. Please, let's see the answers.
Yeah. The anatma, basically the world around us, he's trying to make Arjuna understand this from, because this is still the second chapter. The world around us and our experiences are illusory. This is not real. The real is the real Atma, that is mithya, and the anatma is mithya, the world is mithya. The second one, which I think is the main focus of this verse, is titiksha and equanimity and endurance in every situation. Titiksha is a very complex concept. It is not just being calm and endurance, but trying to remove all the hatred, the dislike, the revenge, or the anger, or even perhaps the very, very, super happy, being thrilled to bits about something. So keeping a very firm and calm mind, and that is the crux of this verse, is actually titiksha, based on the fact that the world around us is anatma. Thank you. Next slide, please. In the Bhagavad Gita verse 2.14, what does matra sparsha refer to? 1, the size of the soul. B, contact of senses with sense objects. C, the light of knowledge. Or D, referring to the mother.
Matra literally means to measure. Sparsha means sense objects. So it should be B, contact with senses and sense objects.
Correct. Contact of senses with sense objects, because this is what creates the experience. And that is what we live by. We are emotionally attached to, or whatever. We live by these experiences. Yes, thank you. Next one. According to Bhagavad Gita 2.14, happiness and distress are permanent states. B, temporary, like the passing heat and cold. C, illusions to be avoided. And D, ultimate goals.
The answer should be B, temporary, like the passing heat and cold.
Yes, in fact, he's used, Bhagavan Krishna has used the words Shitoshna, Sukha, Dukkha, but we can as I said, we extend this Shita and Ushna to every kind of experience in our lives. So everything is temporary. Agamapa, it comes and goes. Thank you. Next slide, please. What is the essence of the teaching in this verse? Bhagavad Gita 2.14. The soul is perishable. Sensory experiences cause permanent happiness. One should cultivate equanimity towards transient sensory experiences. One must reject the body to attain freedom.
Answer should be C. One should cultivate equanimity towards transient sensory experiences.
Yes, that is the first step. That is titiksha. That is the first step and a very important step in the path of spirituality. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hari Om.
Thank you, Aruna. That was another nice presentation. Essentially, what we are talking about is from the time you wake up till you sleep, your sense organs interact with the sense objects, matra, sparsha. And when that happens, you experience hot, cold, pleasant, and unpleasant. Sri Krishna is saying, whatever experiences you have are temporary. They are not going to last forever. So don't take them too seriously. And how do you handle it? Be mentally strong. The whole of the Bhagavad Gita, the message is to be mentally strong, because whatever your problems are not permanent. They will come and they will go. You are somebody far bigger than your problems. The next verse will be by Mamta. Mamta, please.
Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Chanting the verse 2.20. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha ajo nitya shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. In the next slide, Arjuna's sorrow on the battlefield springs from identifying himself and others with the perishable body. To address this misunderstanding, Sri Krishna shifts Arjuna's attention to the nature of the imperishable Atma. Krishna reassures him and through him to all of us that we are not the body, not the doer, but the pure consciousness or Atma. Understanding this truth frees us or one from fear, confusion, and attachment. Verse 2.20 is one of the most profound declarations in the Gita, revealing the Swarupa or the true nature of the self, and even the change in meter signals its importance, philosophical importance. This verse is adapted from the Kathopanishad 2.1.8 verse. In the next slide, in earlier verses, Krishna introduced the nature of Atma as all-pervading, non-objectified knower, and non-doer and non-experiencer. That is Akarta and Abhokta. Now, in this verse, that is 2.20, Lord Krishna elaborates further in the next slide. Looking at this verse now, Ayam na jayate. This Atma is never born because birth belongs to only Sukshma Sharira or subtle body, and not the Atma. Namriyate, that is, Atma does not die. Kadachit, at any time, and na bhutva, which means because it never comes to existence at a particular time, it is unborn. And na bhavita, it never ceases to exist at a future time also. What that means is the self or Atma has no beginning and no end, and therefore ajaha means birthless, nityaha means deathless or eternal, and then shashvataha means it is free from decay, undecayed, always the same, no change, and puranaha, ancient yet ever new or ever fresh. What that means is it shows that time cannot affect Atma. And na hanyate hanyamane sharire. When the body is affected, Atma is unaffected by changes to the body, or it is free from any changes. What does that mean? It means the body changes, but the self remains unchanged. Now, understanding these terms in this verse with few examples, like, for example, the sun. We normally say sun has risen, but in reality, the sun was always there. It only becomes visible from a certain standpoint. Similarly, the self does not have a birth or beginning. Or looking at the space example, when a pot is broken, the space inside the pot is never lost. It merges with the total space. The body is like the pot and the Atma is like the space, untouched and unchanged. Or even like the electricity. The bulb may fuse at any time, but electricity continues to exist independent of the bulb. Atma similarly continues regardless of the condition of the body. And lastly, now with the example of a movie and the screen, where the movie remains untouched by fire or rain or destruction shown in the, say, in the movie, similarly, the Atma is like the screen, untouched and undecaying. Now, in the next slide, all material objects, including the human body, are perishable objects, and they all undergo six-fold changes or modifications, also known as vikaras. What they are asti, jayate, which is the birth of the body, then asti, which is coming into existence due to the birth of the body, that is temporary existence, then vardhate, the growth, like say to baby to toddler to adulthood and so on. Then viparinimate, which is transformation or metamorphosis, and apakshiyate, that is decay or degeneration of the body, and vinashyate, the destruction of the body. Krishna asserts that Atma is untouched by all these six modifications. Each word in the verse negates one or more of these modifications. Let's look at them. That is, ajaha means unborn, which we saw just a while back, which negates jayate, which is the birth of the body. Nityaha, the eternal, will negate the vinashyati or the death of the body. Najayate and namriyate negates birth and death directly. And Shashvata, which means undecayed, negates the apakshiyate, the decay of the body. And Puranaha, ever fresh or ever new, negates the vardhate, the growth of the body growing. And Nahanyate, Nahanyate Nahanyamane Sharire, which means body changes but self is unchanged. It negates the Viparinamate, that is transformation. What that means is between the growth of the body and the decay of the body, there is an intermediary middle age when one does not grow and decay has not yet started. That metamorphosis is Viparinamate stage. Once birth and death are negated, the idea of temporary existence itself, that is the asti, is automatically negated. And also, na bhutva na bhavita, which implies the self or atma has no beginning and no end. Also, we could take it as negating the asti stage of modification. Thus, the verse clearly establishes that self is nirvikara, free from all modifications or changes. Another observation from Bhashyam, as explained by Swamiji, is Lord Krishna appears to repeat the negation of birth and death 3 times. One is na jayate namriyate, which is directly negating the birth and death. And second is nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaya, which implies that self has no beginning and no end, which also negates birth and death. Then third is ajo nitya Shashvataha Puranaha, which is the third quarter of the verse, which says Atma is eternal, unborn, and so on, which also negates the birth and death of Atma. So, any repetition as per Shastras is referred to as Punarakti Dosha. Shankaracharya uses Nyaya Shastra methodology and refers repetition as pratigna, that is making a statement, hetu, which is reasoning of the statement, and nigamana or conclusion, which means justifying the statement. So how it works is Atma is najayate namriyate, which is not subject to death or birth, is pratigna, that is, we are making a statement. Then hetu is reasoning, is nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyaya, that is self has no beginning and end, which is reasoning. Therefore, conclusion is ajo nityaha shashvataha puranaha, implying Atma is not subject to birth and death. So the repetition here is therefore not a flaw, but a layered reasoning structure used to convey the underlying message. Now, as in the next slide, sir, as I conclude the verse, the takeaway from the verse is Krishna's message to Arjuna and to every seeker is you are not the waves of experience. You are the ocean in which the waves rise and fall. Waves can be big or small, peaceful or turbulent, but the ocean remains the ocean, vast, deep, and unchanged. Similarly, the body changes, the mind fluctuates, experiences may be good or bad, but the self is changeless, ageless, deathless, and that self or Atma is you or us, the individual beings. Realizing this gives inner freedom, removes fear, and ends the sorrow. Thank you, sir. Hari Om.
Thank you, Mamta.
Now,
Let's have your teaching quiz.
yes, sir. Now let's dive into the quiz of this verse. According to the verse, which of the following does the Atma not undergo? A. Birth, B. Death, C. Decay, D. All of the above.
According to which of the following does the Atma not undergo? But it does not undergo birth, death, decay. It should be all of the above.
Yes, sir. Yes, it is Nirvikara, changeless. So, next one. Krishna's negation of birth and death using repeated phrases is explained using which Nyaya logic structure? A. Upakrama Upasamhara, B. Pramana and Prameya, C. Pratignya Hetu Nigamana, D. Purvapaksha and Siddhanta.
The answer should be Pratignya, Hetu, and Nigamana. Now, all these are important terms. Upakrama means introduction. Upasamhara means a summary. Pramana is the means of knowledge. Prameya is the object of knowledge. So pratignya, that means you make an assumption, then you give an example, and then give a final conclusion. So the answer should be C.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for explaining that. That's a nice thing. And the next one is, which of the 6 modifications is implicitly negated when birth and death are negated? A. Vardate, the growth of the body. B. Viparinamate, the transformation or metamorphosis of the body. And C is asti, a temporary existence. D is apakshiyate, or decay of the body or degeneration of the body. Which of these is implicitly negated when birth and death are negated?
Implicit means if both and death are negated, existence should be there. So it is C. C exists.
Yes, sir. It, I mean, it is automatically understood that that is what it is. Okay. Yes, sir. Next one. Why is the term Purana described as ancient yet ever fresh? A. Because the body regenerates constantly. B. Because time does not affect the self or Atma. C. Because the mind is ever changing. D. Because Atma changes the mind.
I think the right answer should be because time does not affect the self.
Yes, sir. Because Atma is beyond space and time. The next one, I'm not sure. No, okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. This is verse 20 to say that our true nature, I have no birth, I have no death, I am there from the very beginning. If there is a beginning, I will be there till the very end. Even though any changes happen, it happens to the body. The body undergoes various changes. And therefore, this verse is very clearly to say, I am someone other than the body. I am not the body, but I am the indweller or the Atma Tattva. You will see that this verse has been borrowed by Sri Krishna from the Kathopanishad, one of the very important mantras, with a small change. Na jayate mriyate va kadachit. There comes as vipaschit. The second line is different. Nayam kutaschinna bahuva kaschit. So there is a difference here. Here is na ayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuyah. The rest is the same. Ajo nitya sashvatoyam purana na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Slight difference, but an important difference from the Kathopanishad. The last verse for today will be explained by Ramaji. Ramaji, please.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. In the shlokas 65 and 66 of the chapter 18, Sri Krishna gives the final summary of the entire teaching of Bhagavad Gita in a nutshell. Shloka 65 summarizes the Karma Yoga Sadhanam, while Shloka 66 summarizes Gnana Yoga Sadhanam. The Shloka 66 is called Charama Shlokaha, the final teaching shloka, and it is also called Sharanagati Shlokaha as it signifies the concept of Sharanagati. From the Shloka 67 onwards, he glorifies the teacher, student, and the teaching. Karma Yoga is a religious way of life involving two stages. One is daily prayers, the second one is regular spiritual scriptural study to understand Jiva Jagat Ishvara clearly. A sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikarihi executes all karmas with Ishvara arpana buddhihi and accepts the outcome as Ishvara prasadaha. Such a seeker achieves the goal through Gnana Yoga. Let us see how that seeker achieves this is mentioned in this shloka 66. And the shloka says, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. Sorry. The translation says, abandoning all forms of rights and duties, surrender and take refuge in me alone. I shall liberate you from all sins. Do not grieve. Next slide focuses on Gnana Yoga. In this shloka, Sri Krishna presents two stages of Gnana Yoga in the first half of the shloka and Gnana Yoga Phalam in the second half. Sarva Dharma Parityagaha shows the stage one, Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, meaning Ishvara Sharanagatihi is the stage two. Sarva Dharma Parityagaha literally means renouncing all karmas. And Sarva Dharma includes all sorts of karmas. In the shloka 8 of chapter 4, that is 4.8, the purpose of Sri Krishna's avatara is mentioned as Dharma Samsthapanarthaya, that is Dharma Samsthapanam, to promote Dharma only. Contradicting this, in the shloka 18.66, the present shloka, Sri Krishna recommends Sarva Dharma Parityagaha. The commentary of Adi Shankaracharya helps in this context to conclude the meaning of Sarva Dharma Parityagaha as Gnana Yogaha. Dharma refers to all types of karmas resulting in papa punyas, including adharma karmas also. What is intended is total renunciation of all kayika, vachika, manasika karmas. Therefore, dharma tyagaha is equal to karma tyagaha, which is same as deha abhimana tyagaha. Deha abhimanam is identification of the self with body-mind complex. That is the anatma. Only body-mind complex acts as karta and bhokta and not the self. Disowning of actions and disidentification from actions is called Gnana Karma Sannyasaha. So Sarva Dharma Parityagaha ultimately leads to attain Atma Gnanam, the real nature of the self. Next slide explains the word Mam. Mamekam Sharanam Vraja means take refuge in me, Sri Krishna alone. Here, Mam refers to Ishvaraha, and contextually, the word Ishvara has three meanings. Ekarupa Ishvaraha, the finite God subject to arrival and departure, like Rama or Krishna. The second one is Aneka Rupa Ishvaraha, the all-pervading God, and in all forms, as Arjuna visualized in Vishwarupa Darshanam. Arupa Ishvaraha, that is Nirguna Brahman, the attributeless Brahman that was presented as Para Prakritihi in the chapter 7. Here, Mam refers to Arupa Ishvaraha with Satchidananda Swarupaha. Next slide details the non-duality of Parabrahman. The word Ekam refers to Advitiyam, the one without a second, indicating the infinite Brahman. It is without Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Svagata, Bheda, Rahita, Parabrahman. Here, Vraja means to approach. In this context, Vraja means approach the all-pervading Parabrahman. In the shloka 9th chapter 4th shloka, it says, Idam sarvam jagat maya tatam, says Sri Krishna, meaning that Parabrahman is all-pervading. When Parabrahman is all-pervading, why should Jivatma approach Paramatma, which is not far away from Paramatma? Here, also the Shankara Bhashyam indicates that the word Vraja as to drop off the false notion like the Jivatma is different or Jivatma is away from Paramatma. Actually, Paramatma is not different from Jivatma as explained by our previous speakers. This right knowledge of Jivatma Paramatma Aikyam is the essence of Mahavakyam. So this Gnanam is the meaning of the word Vraja. Therefore, Sharanam Vraja is to attain the knowledge of the ultimate refuge. Now, how to drop off these wrong notions are mentioned in the next slide. Guru Shastra teaches the Mahavakyam Tattvamasi as Upadesha Vakyam. This is the highest knowledge and is known as Paroksha Gnanam, the indirect knowledge. The seeker receives this teaching as Anubhava Vakyam, that is Aham Brahma Asmi. It is Aparoksha Gnanam, the direct knowledge or the knowledge attained out of experience, his own experience. And as a result of this, seeker realizes the self. Through Vedanta Shravana Manana Nididhyasanam of Guru Shastra Upadeshas, Agnani Bhakta becomes a Gnani Bhakta, and a Gnani Bhakta in turn will be liberated, says Sri Krishna. So by attaining the infinite Paramatma, the seeker finds the ultimate refuge from samsara. Moving on to the next slide, the result of this Aparoksha Gnanam is seen. Sri Krishna graces Gnana Phalam says, Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshayishami. Here, Aham indicates Sri Krishna as both Gnana Phaladata as well as Karma Phaladata. The Karma Phala are produced because of Sanchita, Agami and Prarabdha Karmas. Papa Phalam is an iron chain, Punya Phalam is golden chain. Both shackles a seeker to pains and joys of samsaram, followed by repeated births and deaths. All the Vedas assert that Gnanam alone will result moksha phalam. All karma should culminate in Atma Gnanam, as said in the Gita Shloka 4.33. Karma khilam gnane parisamapyate. So any form of sadhanam, be it karma or bhakti, should lead to Atma Gnanam, the absolute, the abode of the absolute or the ultimate. Consequently, the seeker is freed from all bondages of righteousness and unrighteousness. The word ma shuchaha means do not grieve, as we see in the next slide. This phrase is the central theme of teachings of Bhagavad Gita. This emphasizes surrender and confidence in divine protection under any conditions. Earlier, with the same idea occurred in the shlokas 2.11 and also in the shloka 16.5. The shloka, the assurance given to Arjuna in the shloka 2.11 chapter Ma Ashuchaha, Ashocyan, that is the word used there, is fulfilled in the shloka 66 of this chapter 18. Sri Krishna assures to free the devotees from all types of karma phalas. So then Puja Swamiji Paramarthanandaji says, Bhakti Yoga is a combination of Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, and Gnana Yoga. A balance of all the sadhanas helps a seeker to attain the goal of moksha. So today we learned 2.11, wherein Arjuna's cause for his problem was analyzed, that is the Upakrama. Then now the 18.66 shloka is called Upasamhara, where he concludes his teachings. So now let us move on to the quiz part. It's a simple self-explanatory quiz. Sri Krishna imparts knowledge to Arjuna, a ready disciple to receive the knowledge covering the subject of grief in the shlokas up to 30 of chapter 2. In the shloka 2.11, Gitacharya analyzed Arjuna's cause of his problem, that is the fundamental ignorance. Sri Krishna explains the impermanence of Anatma in the shloka 2.14. In the shloka 2.20, the eternity of Atma is established. Now, they realize the eternity of Atma. Gnana Yoga is one of the sadhanas to attain Atma Gnanam is explained in the shloka 18.66. Now let us try to answer a few simple questions to reinforce what we have learned in this shloka. This is a self-explanatory quiz. Choose the correct answer. In the shloka 18.66, the word Sarva Dharma Parityagaha refers to Nitya and Naimittika karmas, renunciation of all karmas, realizing the real nature of Jivatma, realizing that body-mind complex is Karta and Bhokta, all of the above. Which is the answer, sir? Can you please answer?
There are many answers seem possible. Renunciation of all karmas, yes. Realizing the real nature of the Jivatma. Realizing that body-mind complex is karta and I think the answer is all of the above.
Yes, sir. Exactly. Correct. Yeah. Moving on to the next question. Fill in the blanks. Now, a particular word used in the shloka that refers to or its meaning, we can say. So, dharma refers to dash.
Dharma should be understood here as karma.
Karmas, all karma, yes, karmas. Karma tyagaha is dash.
Karma pala tyaga literally means, there is no sense of doership. So karma pala tyaga is, I am not this body, a body disidentification.
Yes, sir. That is deha abhimana tyagaha. That is right. Then mam refers to here.
Mam here refers to Sri Krishna, but Sri Krishna in his highest form. It is not Ekarupa, it is not Anekarupa, it should be Arupa.
Arupa Ishvaraha, yes. Then Ekam refers to dash.
Ekam refers to the Advitiyam, non-dual reality.
Non-dual reality, yes. Sharanam refers to?
Sharanam refers to Sarvadharman Parityagya.
Mamekam Sharanam Vraja.
Is it Vraja?
No, it is ultimate refuge. Sharanam is Sharanag. Whom should we take?
So the answer is?
Ultimate refuge.
Or ultimate refuge.
The ultimate.
Okay. Yeah.
Then Vraja means?
Please tell me.
Generally it is moving or going to approaching a place or something. So now it is dropping off the false notion. Deha bhimana tyagaha. Dropping off the false notions.
Please explain each of these words because they are important.
Dharma refers to all karmas, be it bhakti or any sort of karmas, good or bad, all karmas is referred by the word dharma. Karma tyagaha is because of karma is dharma. That means you are going to renounce all karmas, because of which kartrutva and bhoktrutva you have to forego. That is dehabhimana tyagaha. Mam refers to Sri Krishna in this context, who is also Arupa Ishvaraha, the highest form of Krishna. Ekam refers to Advitiyaha, Advitiya Brahman, that is Sajatiya, Vijatiya, Swagata Bheda Rahitaha. There is no division. So that is why he is called Ekam or non-dual Brahman. Sharanam refers to the ultimate refuge. Then Vraja means dropping off the false notion. So the false notion is that the Jivatma, Paramatma are different, or Paramatma is far away from Jivatma in another loka or so. That is, he is within the heart, within the body itself. That is what it means. So now the next thing is, stay true or false. Teachings of Guru Shastra is direct knowledge.
Teachings of Guru Shastra is always indirect knowledge, but only once it is internalized, it becomes direct knowledge.
That means, is it true or false?
It will be false.
False. Okay.
Yes.
Every bhakta will be liberated.
Bhaktas are of various types. Artha, Arthi, Jignasi. It is only a Jnani Bhakta who is going to be liberated.
Then Bhagavan is only karma phala data.
But it is false, because Bhagavan is not only karma phala, he is also a jnana phala data, and is more than just it is false.
Yes. Sharanagati is to attain liberation from samsara.
Sharanagati is to attain liberation from samsara. True?
Yes. It is to realize the ultimate refuge, the abode of refuge of Tat Padam, Parama Padam, that was said in the Kathopanishad. So it is the same thing. Only papas binds jivas to pains of samsara.
Only papas, not only papa, it's false, because even punyas bind a jiva to samsara.
It is also a type of dukkha.
Bondage. It's a bondage. Yeah.
Okay. Then Jnana Yoga, supported by Karma and Upasana Yogas, lead to moksha.
That's true. Should be true. Please go through the answers once again, because each of them are important.
Stay true or false. Teachings of Guru Shastra is direct knowledge. He has to internalize, then it becomes the indirect. So sorry, Guru Shastra Upadesha is indirect knowledge. Then every bhakta will be liberated. Only Gnani bhakta will be liberated, not Artho, Jignasu, etc. bhaktas. Bhagavan is only karma phaladata. No, otherwise we would have got all sukha and dukkhas only, not gnana at all. So he also gives gnana, so he is a gnana phaladata. Sharanagati is to attain liberation from samsara. Samsara is the repeated births and deaths in that's a cycle, vicious cycle. So liberation from this is only achieved if you take refuge in the highest form of Krishna, that is Arupa Ishvaraha. Only papas binds jivas to pains of samsara. Even punyas, although it gives us happiness or sukha to experience, sukha is also a form of dukkha, because repeated janmas will occur because of that. Then Jnana Yoga, supported by Karma and Upasana Yogas, lead to moksha. That is also true. So Jnana backed by Karma Yoga gives Chitta Shuddhi. Upasana Yoga helps a seeker to get the focus of mind, Chitta Ekagrata. And with this support, Jnana, he becomes a Arha for Jnana, eligible for Jnana Yoga. Moving on to is it clear, sir? Shall I move ahead? Okay.
Yes, please continue.
Give one word for the following: that which frees from bondages of samsara.
That which frees bondages from samsara. Jnanam?
Yes, Atma Gnanam. Yes, specifically Atma Gnanam.
Atma Jnanam.
Yeah, the results of good karmas.
Punya.
Punyas, correct. That which binds jivas. There
all
are
forms of karmas.
All forms of karma phalas.
All forms of karma phala.
Yeah,
right.
Karma phalas. The cycle of birth and death.
Samsara.
Knowledge attained through self-experience.
Aparoksha
Gnanam. Correct.
Now you may have to explain them once again, madam.
Yeah. That which frees from bondage of samsara is Atma Gnanam. That because of Atma Gnana, the seeker will have Atma, Anatma, Viveka, and also he realizes what is the permanent source of happiness. That is the significance of having Atma Gnana. The results of good karmas or punyas, which we are going to experience the sukha part, the happiness in the life, in our life. Then that which binds, even this punya also binds jivas to samsara. That which binds jivas is karma phalam. Although ignorance is also the correct answer. Because of ignorance, we avidya kama karma, that chain. So because of ignorance, we act. Because we act, we get karma phalas. To enjoy or suffer, we have to take one more birth, one more or repeated births. The cycle of birth and death is samsara. This is a vicious cycle. Once you are born, you are bound to do karmas. Karmas give karma phalas. To enjoy those or suffer, we have to take birth. So the cycle of birth and death is called samsara. Knowledge attained through experience, that is aparoksha gnanam. All other source of knowledge, they are indirect knowledge, that is paroksha gnanam. Only the internalized knowledge of the paroksha gnanam becomes aparoksha gnanam. So with this, we'll end the session, sir. Today's Shloka 2.11 was a upakrama. That means Sri Krishna began his teaching, wherein he concludes the teachings in the Shloka 18.66. Thank you, sir. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
Thank you, madam. In today's classes, we have seen a lot of important verses, and perhaps the most important verse in the entire Bhagavad Gita is this verse called the Charama Shloka, the final teaching verse. And if you see this verse, Sarva Dharman Parityagya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja, the whole teaching is in that verse. The last verse is called Phalashruti. What is the benefit? Aham Tvam Sarvai Papebhya. I will close your Punya Papa account. I will look at the promise Shri Krishna saying, Moksha Shyami. I will free you from all Punya and Papa. That means your account is closed, so there is no Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. There is no rebirth for you. Ma Suchaha. Please don't be sorrowful. You remember the opening verse was Asochanam Anvasochaswam. You are sorrowful. The final teaching is do not be sorrowful. Sarva Dharman Parityagya. Now, give up. What do we give up? Give up all sense of identification. I am doing this, I am doing that. You are not a doer. As Atma, see yourself as Atma. Atma's Akarta and Bhokta. That gives you a perspective. Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja. That means surrender to the one. That means there is no sense Kevalam, Kaivalyam. There is no Eka Jiva. Krishna Aneka Aneka Rupa, that is the world, Arupa, surrender to the Arupa. So this is a beautiful mantra, and of course the this verse can be seen in so many ways, but now we are going through Adi Shankara's commentary. With that we come to the end of today's class. Before I hand over, for beginners, it may be looking a little disjointed. We are having one verse from 18th chapter, one verse from 2nd chapter, and so on. But what we're doing is we're just seeing a sampling of all these teachings in the first few classes. And later on, we will be doing selected verses or from 18th chapter, 17th chapter, 16th chapter, and so on. Why are we doing that? Normally, we begin from first chapter, second chapter, because by the time we come to the 18th chapter, we get a little impatient and then we are not going into all the details. The 18th chapter is a beautiful summary of the entire Bhagavad Gita. So even though we begin from the 18th chapter, as you saw this particular verse, you will see there is so much to, you don't feel that you are lost. It is not the end. It is a nice summary. I'm grateful to all the speakers. Shiv, please.
On behalf of Param Vedanta, sorry, I thank Dr. Timappa Hegde sir and all the speakers of the day and the Vedantins who have joined us. Friends, remember to join us at 6:45 p.m. on Friday, 8th December 2025 for our 22nd session of our Mananam series, where few of the profound mantras from the second chapter, second Valli of Kathopanishad shall be explained by our Dr. Timappa Hegde. Friends, let us chant the Shanti mantra and conclude today's session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.